Okay, well, let's just get started. I think, people are jumping on, but let me at least make some introductions. Thank you for joining Local Logic's office hours. This is kind of a new one for us. Maybe we'll do it quarterly. I'm excited. I like it. I think it's a way for us to just kind of tell you what we've been up to in a way that's hopefully interesting and informative. And my guest today is Jeremy Jarrell. Actually, Jeremy and I, fun fact, used to work together at Realtor.com. So we go way back. Jeremy is our principal PM, which is product manager for those of you who don't speak tech lingo. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with a PowerPoint just to make and walk through all the most recent stuff. This should be about a half an hour. If you guys have a million questions, we can go longer. But what we'll do is we'll start with the PowerPoint, and Jeremy will go through everything that's new and different with us, and maybe some of the things that are upcoming. Wink, wink. And then I will demo some of those things and kind of run you through it real quick, just so you can see it live and in person. So, Jeremy, on that note, we're at about 1:02. I'll go ahead and kick it off to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Audrey. And thank you everyone for joining us. As Audrey said, my name is Jeremy Jarrell. I'm the Principal Product Manager here at Local Logic. And today I want to take the opportunity to talk to you about some of the things that we've shipped in the last couple of weeks that have been really cool product releases that we're very excited about, and even pull back the curtain a little bit and give you a bit of a sneak preview of some of the things that we have up our sleeve for the next couple months. So we're going to jump right in. We're going to talk about some of our recent releases, as Audrey said, then we'll drop into a demo and then we'll take your questions. So let's get started. I want to start with the IO Reports API. Now, I'm sure you know our IO Reports product. This is our suite of products that help homebuyers understand what is it like to live in an area. So, for example, our lifestyle reports help them understand how I get around in a neighborhood. What are the amenities around? What kind of schools are around? What are the other people that live there? So they can understand what is it like to be here. And the market report is really what's happening in the local market in this area. So where are home prices going? Is this a good time to get into this market? And how are things happening there from an economic standpoint? So this has been a really successful product for us, but up until recently, whenever an agent wanted to create an IO report for one of their customers, they would log into our dashboard and they would manually create each report as they go. What we've recently introduced is an IO Reports API integration for this. This means you can now programmatically create the same IO reports, which with the same level of amenities, same level of customization to be able to control which categories or which areas and components the report show, and the same custom branding if you have it, all programmatically. So this gives you the opportunity to actually be able to integrate IO reports directly into things like your offer flow. So you can start to send out IO reports as part of your deal flow and your offer flow to your customers as you start to near that transaction. Set up automated drip campaigns. So that way you can send out, for example, a market report to your prospect list every week or every month. And remember, these reports, the URL is always live. So every time someone clicks on this, even if they click the same report each week, they're always going to get the latest and greatest information. So you can drop that dynamically updating report directly into your email campaign. Or also, a lot of the customers have really been interested in using IO reports as a lead generation tool, and to be able to really kind of gate lead generation or lead contact information to be able to offer an IO report back to their prospects in exchange for their contact info. So all these use cases and anything else you'd be able to think about or be able to imagine are now possible with the IO Reports API. So we're really excited to see what everyone starts to do with this as more and more customers start to adopt and start to implement IO reports at the API level.
So,
Next,
yep, I'm gonna
go
just
for it.
pop in and just say that, well, that's one of the things we'll be doing a demo of. This one and the IO reports we'll show you live when Jeremy's done.
Awesome. All right, now let's shift over to local content. So local content is one of our most popular products. This is by far, we think, our flagship product. This is on thousands of real estate websites across the US and Canada, and about 8.3 million unique home buyers interact with local content every month. So it gets a lot of usage, it gets a lot of eyeballs. And this product has been through several iterations. With our most recent update, we actually went back and rethought the design to really focus on how do we really make the listing the center of the experience. So we've rebuilt local content from the ground up to really focus much more prominently on the map and really the listing and all the amenities around it. So whenever a home buyer first engages with local content or first sees local content, they're going to be right first square in the middle is the listing. And even as they continue to explore the area, as they look at different amenities, different services, different shops, different things that are around the area, they'll be able to still keep that focus directly on the listing. So then they can start to understand where are all these different amenities relative to the listing that I'm actually looking at. And as we look at that, we've also really made the different insights, scores, and points of interest much more discoverable, which makes the entire product much more engaging. And the more engagement we can drive your website, the better that means for your SEO. So we have that theme throughout all of our SDK widgets that we put on our websites. But one of the other really interesting pieces of feedback that we've gotten from a lot of customers through the year is they want even more engagement or more customization in local content we've offered in the past. And we've always offered, decent level of customization. You can customize the fonts, the colors, the different sizes and different padding. But we've taken all those same customizations, carried them forward, and now we're letting you really customize much more the engagement level, as well as really tune local content to what makes sense for your listings and your use cases. So, for example, on the engagement level, we've introduced a customization to let you collapse the sidebar that you see here on the left. So that way the sidebar can start even more minimized than it is now, which means then you can put even more focus on the map whenever the home buyer first sees it. But also, one of the interesting customizations I want to call out is that we've given you much more control over the different POI categories and scores that you see listed down the sidebar. Now, we've always had the ability to hide the numerical value of scores. So, for example, if you look at shopping, where we have 5.7 over 10, you have had the ability, and you still do, to turn off that numerical score. So you will only show the categories of scores and the categories of POIs without the actual score value. But something that we've added now in response to a lot of customer demand is being able to hide individual POI categories and scores. So let's say, for example, that our listing here in Pennsylvania, maybe it's in an area where, like, hey, it's just not great to get around on bikes. There aren't a lot of cycling paths, there aren't bike lanes. It's just not a very great community to ride around on bikes. So the cycling friendly score isn't really relevant in this listing. You can just hide this score now. Or maybe you're in a listing or you're in an area where there's not a lot of coffee shops. There's not a lot of cafes. There's not a lot of coffee shops or things you would actually go with that. So the cafe score isn't really relevant. You can hide that as well now. So what we've given you the ability is to really basically fine tune each of these different POI categories and scores to really just focus on those scores and categories that are most relevant to your listings and are going to be the most informative for your home buyers. Now, sticking with the customization theme as well, we've also expanded our base map customization options. Local content ships out of the box with Map Tiler. That's included in the cost of the product. But we've also allowed customers to be able to offer Google Maps and swapping Google Maps as their base map to accommodate those customers that already have Google Maps elsewhere on their site and they want a more consistent look and feel between local content and the other maps that they have on their site. We've now expanded that to also add support for Mapbox, as we've seen Mapbox start to come out more and more with our customers and start to get traction in the prop tech space as well. But in addition to Mapbox, we've also deepened our theme support. So now we have full support for any custom theme that you would create for MapTiler, Google Maps, and Mapbox, all carried into local content, which means that if you've taken the time to create a very rich and well-designed custom theme for Google Maps that matches your brand identity and just fits really natively in your site, you can now bring that same theme into local content, and local content is going to look perfectly native with your entire site.
Awesome.
Uh,
Thanks.
All right, I'm going to shift gears a little bit now to talk about data. So we've talked a little bit about the products and the widgets, but local logic, we're at our core, data science is a big part of what we do. So we've been innovating on the data science side as well. One of the common requests that we've gotten from customers is county level data. And we hear this a lot from customers that maybe they're in an area where there isn't a large neighborhood or isn't a large city center that the home buyers or the residents tend to really kind of associate themselves with. So they say, I live in Middlesex County. I live in Butler County. I live in Allegheny County. So that's what they tend to think about. So we're now adding county data for both the US and the Canadian equivalent county data across all of our products. So in the US, we've added support for over 3,000 US counties. In Canada, we've added support for almost 300 Canadian census divisions, which is the Canadian equivalent of a county. And this is now fully supported across all of our APIs. So for example, if you have our demographics API or our market trends API, previously been able to aggregate demographic data or market trend data up to things like the zip code level or the neighborhood level or the city level, you can now do this for all APIs at the county level as well. So you can start to see how those different demographic or economic trends are moving at the county level. We also are supporting this fully in Neighborhood Wrap and our Neighborhood Market Report. And then we're bringing county support to our Neighborhood Lifestyle Report later this year. So this really helps kind of build out our full geography stack to where we can go as small as the neighborhood up to boroughs, municipalities, CCDs, zip codes, counties, or full metro areas. So we can basically look at any lens of the geographic area that you're looking at through any geographic lens to get the information at the right level that's right for your home buyers. And sticking with data as well, we've also updated our housing affordability index. Now, we've had a housing affordability index in the past. It showed up in our neighborhood wrap product, but our previous housing affordability index was really much more focused on median home prices. And median home prices only really tell part of the story. So for example, if we have the Twin Pines neighborhood whose home prices is here and Three Spruces is down here, we know that Twin Pines has a lot higher home prices, but that doesn't necessarily tell us, is it more affordable? We don't know how much home you're getting in Twin Pines. We don't know what the average household income is in Twin Pines. So housing affordability is much more than just median home prices. It's what are you getting for your money? And so our housing affordability index has really been rethought from the ground up to take it into account things like how much home do you get for your money? Like what is the size of these homes? What are the medium sized home plus the median home value? And what's the actual median household income in these areas? So you can start to understand how much of your monthly income is actually going to housing costs each month. So this is a much better idea of helping your home buyers understand not just is this neighborhood more expensive than the next neighborhood, but is it actually more affordable? Am I getting more home for my money? Am I getting more job opportunities? Is this a much overall more or less affordable area for me to be looking into? So this is actually integrated directly into our demographics API now. So any of you, if you have our demographics API, this is now in your response. So you're getting this out of the box in demographics, and we're starting to bring this into some of our products. So for example, this is our neighborhood match feature in Neighborhood Wrap, which shows how we've implemented it here to help home buyers start to understand which of these neighborhoods are more or less affordable than what they might be looking at. As an additional note here, our previous housing affordability index only supported the US. As part of this update, we're actually bringing housing affordability to Canada as well. So now we have full coverage of housing affordability across the US and Canada in all the neighborhoods that we cover in both countries. So that's pretty exciting.
Fantastic. Now I believe, last slide, sneak peek time.
Yes.
So,
All right. So, yep. As Audrey hinted at, so we've got one little surprise here, and this is a coming soon, but coming very, very soon. And we hinted at this. I hinted at this a little bit when I talked about IO Reports API, but one of the big common use cases that we've had, or big requests that we've had for IO Reports API, is that customers want to be able to use this as a lead gating tool. So they want to be able to stick their own lead capture form in front of it, and then automatically generate those IO reports and send them out to customers in exchange for their contact info. We can do this today now with IO Reports API, but we also get that an API solution isn't right for everyone as well. So coming very, very soon, in the next few weeks, we're rolling out a brand new product that is going to be a lead capture form. Now, this is a widget implemented as an SDK that you can drop anywhere on your website. And this is an entire turnkey solution that offers an IO report to your home buyers. They can pick which reports they want. They can choose the market report, the lifestyle, or both. So they choose the report for the neighborhood that they're looking at, whether you're on a listing page or you're on a community page. And then they provide their contact information. They click submit. And then behind the scenes, we automatically create the reports exactly for the neighborhoods that they wanted. And we email them out to the home buyer. And then in parallel, we also take that home buyer's contact information that they provided, and then we post that information to your CRM. So this is an out-of-the-box turnkey lead magnet that you can drop directly on your website, and it's ready to go. It's a great incentive because we've had a great response to IO reports. We know our home buyers love them. So this is a great way to really kind of help move your leads down the funnel. Now, coming In the future, we're also going to eventually start enriching this lead information with insights about what those each unique home buyer is interested in. So, because we are a neighborhood company, we understand the neighborhood insights that drive home buyer interest. So we'll be able to help enrich that information with whether a particular home buyer seems to be very interested in quiet neighborhoods, or they want something that's more vibrant, or do they seem that they're interested in being able to walk to different places, or do they want to drive, or are they really focused on public elementary schools, or do they seem more focused on shopping and amenities? So we'll be able to help enrich each individual lead with that unique home buyer's interest, and also help you understand what are the neighborhoods in your market that best exemplify those interests or best excel at those interests that the home buyers are interested in. So that's going to be coming in the future as well. But we're really excited to start to bring our lead generation solution to market in the next few weeks. So keep an eye out for that. So with
Awesome.
that, I'm
Well,
going to hand the screen back to my partner, Audrey.
thank you. That was fantastic, Jeremy, really.
Thank you.
And I think I'll jump in and share my screen, but I think you'll see that where local logic is a bit of a differentiator is we have products that engage the consumer from the minute they hit a site to helping pick properties based on their lifestyle, to engaging them about more information about that property, to engaging them to more information about that neighborhood, to being able to send them marketing information, to actually now being able to do lead capture. So I think you see us as Max, our VP of Marketing, would say, going for the full life cycle. So we're going after the full consumer life cycle. Okay, let me share my screen. I'm just going to show you two products really fast, and we'll save questions for the end because I can't do two things at once, as smart as I am. So the first thing I'm going to show you really quick is just the dashboard for the IO reports. So the two things I'm going to demo, as I said, are the IO reports and the new local content refresh. But we'll start with the IO reports. Again, the new product for us for the IO reports is really the API, but right now I'm showing you the SSO dashboard just for people who haven't seen it before. But what happens here is basically, like as you might have heard, Stellar MLS bought this for all their members. We have a number of brokers that have purchased it. And what would happen is there would be a tile like in your CRM system or wherever you want the tile to be. They would click it. If you were doing SSO, it would take the agent or the member automatically into their dashboard. If you use the API, which is the newer thing that we just released, you can configure it as you see fit. But basically what happens here is we have a super easy to use dashboard. People come here and they just simply type in the address or the county, as you noticed, which is new for us, neighborhood, whatever, and they just click a report. Either the lifestyle report or the market report. We're the only ones that have a lifestyle report that tells what it's like to actually live there. Before I show you a report really quick, note that you can actually personalize the report as well and change this at any given time with your picture, your information, maybe some of your social media links, whatever you like. So let me show you the first report. That is, actually, I want to show you the lifestyle report first. By the way, at the administrative level, MLS, broker, title company, we actually have some title companies now using this. We have inspection companies. This is completely brandable at the administrative level. So you can use your colors, your logo at the top, whatever you like. You'll see here immediately on every report that you can either copy the link to the report, and as Jeremy noted, it's it's dynamic. So every time they hit the link, the data is updated, and you click print report, and you can also send out a printed version. But you'll see it's like basically the story of what it's like to live there. And again, this really isn't out there. So if you're relocating or moving 20 minutes down the road, it might be a neighborhood you have dinner in, but you don't know what it's actually like to live there. That's what happened with my son. He moved 20 minutes away, but he had no idea what it was like to live in that neighborhood. Or if you're reloading like to Florida or someplace or Arizona, those are popular reload areas. It would be nice to know what it's like to actually live in that neighborhood. So it really tells the story of what it's like to live there. Quick little description, our proprietary scores, a little more description of the transportation services and character, and then again, really easy to digest, a little more information about user like transit, etc. Where are those grocery stores? Where are the schools? Where are the parks? Where am I going to walk my dog, etc., etc. And you come down here and you get a little, this is really basically demographics information, which is a community portrait. Hey, is this, mostly 1 to 2 people? What's the average ages? Are they employed, income levels, etc.? Is it mostly single families? You name it. Notice, by the way, down here, well, let me finish. Come to market trends, you get a little sneak peek to the market trends, and then you get some climate data. Now, if you're in an area where perhaps you're not comfortable with any particular section, you can click Manage Sections, and it will just allow you to go ahead and take that section out of the report. Let's go to the other report, which is the market report. So you'll see here, you have a little few more sort of bells and whistles on the market report that we believe will eventually come to the lifestyle report, where you can actually pick by county and zip code. You can kind of filter down to particular property type, and you can pick actually the time frame, 1, 3, or 5 years, and apply that filter. And you notice up here again, you can either copy the link or print the report. Again, you can manage sections. And I think what's perhaps a little bit different about our market report, again, brandable both administratively and to the agent. There's a little description of that neighborhood with the boundary. What we did with our market report is we went to agents and consumers and said, look, there are some other, market reports on the market like the RPR, et cetera. What's working, what's not working. And mostly they said, look, we like the other reports, but they're kind of a data dump. There's a lot of data, there's a lot of graphs, and we don't really know what questions they're answering. And we're not sure that, frankly, they're answering the question I have. And then agents said, yeah, it's a lot of data. And if they ask me a question about it, it's not great for me. Okay. So I'm happy to provide it in a listing presentation, but generically, it doesn't really, help me and it makes me a little nervous. So that was the feedback we got. So what we did is we said to consumers, when you get a market report, what questions are you looking to have answered? And the answers were like, what does the housing market look like today? What happened in the last 30 days? Is it a good time to buy? What are the conditions? How much do homes cost in this area? This graph, by the way, is my favorite. I always highlight it because really, I think sometimes people think these reports are largely geared towards buyers, but they're not really. If you have a buyer, sure, that only has, well, not only, but has, say, 350, you can say, hey, 350, most are going, 20% of homes are for 350. I know you love this neighborhood, but just know we're not really in the sweet spot for buying in this neighborhood. But you can also go to a seller and say, hey, I know you want 1.2, and I want you to have 1.2, but only 10% of homes are selling for 1.2. So just please be aware. And I do think the graph, if an agent sat with me when I was pricing my home, I can tell you this would have been really helpful for me in terms of managing my expectations. And the same for like days on market and things like that. So it really helps the agent speak to it intelligently and guide the conversation. And again, you can manage the sections if there's something you don't like. And you'll see this is proprietary to us. This is really interesting down here. What location factors increase the property value in this area? Again, maybe easy for a buyer to see. Sure, hey, this is where the hotspots are of this neighborhood, especially if you're reloading a little bit. But again, for a seller, you can come down and say, hey, when you see me marketing to these things, like you see me highlighting this in your listing description, you know it's because I know this is what moves the value in this area. So that's the IO reports in a snapshot. Again, this is the dashboard. Personalize it, and then there's a history of past reports that you can just pop up real quick. Let's move to the second one really quick because we're running out of time a bit and show you just a local content refresh. Generically, you'll notice it's a little bit different. Jeremy went through all the specifics of some of the feedback we've gotten of wanting more space and see the map so you can kind of collapse this. It's even easier on mobile. It's really nice on mobile as well, where we get a lot of engagement. But generically, you'll see here that you can just pop it out. If you want transit and you want to know what's nearby, again, for local content, if you're not familiar with this product, I love this. Like if you don't drive and you're just looking for a certain bus number or transit number, I love that it says view routes. You can just click here. We added some cycling, which is really cool, we didn't have before. So it'll just find the route for you by walking, driving, or cycling. And you can kind of zoom in there and see a little bit more of that as well. So generically, you'll see here for local content, we have the same categories we had before. Let me go back to the menu again. It's very easy. We think we've got a little more gamification for increased engagement. In shopping, groceries, anything that's nearby, where's the nearest Starbucks, all the same things you enjoyed before, just presented a little differently in the UX in terms of just make it a little easier for people to click around and use it. I think I'm going to stop, take a breath, cough for a second. So we're about out of time on that note. I don't see any questions. This has been the office hours with Local Logic. Thank you for joining us, and find us if you want more information.